Everyone, if you're new to our channel, I'm Tasha.
And I'm Levi.
And this is Pine Knot Family Farms. We live in Northeast Arkansas. We are kind of in between zone 7A and 7B. We're kind of right on the border of it. Today, it's currently about 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 75 degrees. I think the high is 85 today, so pretty nice, sunny. Today's video is going to be a walkthrough of the garden. This will be the first time we've really showed you the garden. Everything is starting to bloom and kind of looking good. We're also going to plant some watermelon and cantaloupe seeds this afternoon. So
we know we're a little late, but it's just been a wet year here like it has everywhere else, and just we finally got all of our ground covered down, and we didn't want to plant the watermelons until we did, or the cantaloupe.
Yeah.
It's been a process this year trying to get a garden in, I know, for everyone, and we're no different. That we do live on Crowley's Ridge. We have ground that is kind of rolling hills, so it does dry out pretty quick, but it's still been a pretty good process this year trying to get this garden in.
I wanted to kind of talk to y'all for just a minute about, we had a situation yesterday. It was one of Levi's relatives, and they said, well, grow me some okra and tomatoes because I live in a trailer. I can't grow it. And I guess I've just been thinking about that a lot lately. Yes, you can't grow on the scale that we grow on, and we go excessive, would you not say? I mean, we have more than, and we probably should, but we get carried away. Anybody can grow a tomato in a flower pot. You can build you a little raised bed, just lay some, cut wood, 2x4s, anything on the ground. It can be movable really quick. It doesn't have to be anything permanent. But just to have fresh tomatoes, all it takes is really 2 tomato plants in a flower pot on your front porch or setting out right by your house. Peppers, I've got 2 pepper plants on the front porch. I had extras. So anybody can grow some tomatoes or peppers, just not in the quantity that we can. You can grow it to eat fresh. You may not be able to grow it to can, but you can get there eventually. It just takes time, but we just wanted to kind of reassure everybody that, I mean, we know you can, but don't ever say, I can't grow anything.
I guess, one of the things that we're trying to help promote, as well as, I know there's other channels out here that are really trying to encourage people, to try to become a little more self-sufficient. That's what we're trying to do. So, you got to start somewhere. And again, if you're in an apartment or renting or in a trailer. I know there's a lot of people who have rental properties that, and you can find a lot of channels on YouTube here that if you'll go back and look, where people started on, a really small budget and a really small scale and have just grown it into something that's become a livelihood for them. And so, again, I think that's what Tasha and I both really want to promote and encourage is, all you got to do is start somewhere, and it may be on a small scale, but I think as you have success, and you will, it's just part of trying,
Don't give up.
Yeah, even if you have some failures, if you'll continue on, you'll have success, and in that you'll be rewarded with that self-satisfaction, and that's what we get from a lot of this is just there's a real sense of accomplishment when you can grow your own food and when you can provide for yourself and your family, and knowing that you have that security if you ever had a need,
the knowledge to be able to do it.
To do that. Yeah. So again, that's what we try to do, is just encourage people, and again, we're fortunate to be able to do it on a little larger scale, which again, it's just an enjoyment for us. It's a stress reliever to be in the garden and enjoy this time that we have down here. There is a lot of work to it, don't get us wrong, because it is something that's a maintenance that you got to take care of it and to be successful. But
when you're bringing that 5-gallon bucket of tomatoes up, don't you get more of an accomplished good feeling than going and buying some tomatoes at Walmart? I mean, it's easier to go buy them. And
it's not just that. There's a different quality, and it's just something that if you've never, our kids pretty well won't eat tomatoes that we buy at the store. I mean, we may have to cook with them some, which Tasha cans a lot of tomatoes, but to get a fresh tomato in the wintertime, they're not interested. But they'll come down here in the garden and eat one like an apple, you know, just pull it off the vine.
Same with corn. I mean, Austin will ask me if I pull out corn on the cob, did this come from our garden?
Yeah, so,
they'll eat
so it's just a different quality, and you know what you got. So yeah, well, I think that's our main deal. We just want to encourage people that it is possible, no matter where you're at and what your situation is. It's just the scale and you know how you have to go about getting started.
But if you're just trying to eat fresh, 1 or 2 tomato plants in a pot is more than enough.
It's realistic.
Yes, yes. And you can put them in anything. I mean, anything you can get your hands on. Go to Goodwill, go to a flea market, a yard sale. I'm sure someone would hand you down something that you can grow tomatoes. As long as you drill a hole in the bottom for some drainage, you should be good.
Get you a little dirt.
Anything.
Yeah, that's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, we do have a lot of raised beds here in our garden area now that we're going to show you today.
That's new this year.
Yeah, which a lot of this, our fencing's all new. We've grown a garden here ever since we've been here, but in the past we've had a real issue with wildlife, with the deer and groundhogs. Groundhogs are our worst adversary here in the garden, probably.
You want to tell them about our ground cover?
Yeah, we actually, again, we used to have, for our ground cover, we've used cardboard in the past, newspapers, things, anything to help hold the weeds down and the moisture in the ground. This year, we, in doing the research on the greenhouse polycarbonate, we found, and also talking to others and watching the YouTube channels, we found a ground cover that we got from BWI. It's like a woven weed ground cover. And we've been put that in the last couple of days. And
it's supposed to be reusable every year, which this year we bought the smaller rows, not as wide rows, so that way we had to splice it to put around our plants because we didn't get it in time. But
so we're going to see how that works for us this year, and it's definitely easy to install. You know, the efficiency of it, we'll give it a high score. Now the effectiveness of it, we'll see how it works this year, and then we'll know. Especially when you get into the watermelons and cantaloupe, where you can't really do any weeding. And our problem in the past with our melon garden is it always has grown up in weeds and been a real issue.
It gets out of control in the blink of an eye. And we got this ground cover laid yesterday, and I think we both felt, okay, I think this just took a lot of work for the summer off our backs. Yeah. As far as weeding.
And it's all about managing the maintenance. You know, in a garden this size. This garden is approximately 6,000 square feet of in-ground beds this year that we're actually using. We got a little more room than that, but we didn't get everything planted. But
the only place we didn't put the ground cover was the corn.
Right.
And that's going to come up in probably 5 weeks, and then we're going to put some pumpkins down, but we will add the ground cover then.
So. You know, we do have a greenhouse that we built this year, and I think you're going to try to do that on a later video.
It's actually right there.
Yeah, which was a part of the fence project. So you'll probably see it in this video.
Oh, one more thing I was going to say. The neem oil. I have got to put some neem oil down, spray tonight. The neem oil is organic. It is good for house plants, fruit trees, vegetables. I have never used it in the garden. I mean, previously, as bad as I hate to say, we used 7 Dust. That was before we kind of got more on the organic kick and realized just some of the things. I had used it on my fruit trees, so I had some on hand. It's a concentrate that you just mix with water, but my beans are getting eaten. So I'm gonna spray the neem oil on there tonight. They say not to spray it when your bees are active. It's just harmful during the day when they're active.
We actually do have honeybees that we've
seen that video, hopefully. If not, I'll link it.
And so we want to make sure that we try to maintain the best environment for them as well. You know, don't want to do anything that can harm them. So
we do have damage to our beans, holes in the leaves and stuff that you will see. But so are y'all ready for a garden tour? Because we're ready to take you on one. The first 3 rows, there's a few peppers, and then it's mainly tomatoes. All here I've got Amish paste and Bonnie's Best, which is going to be good for canning sauces and different things like that. Here we've got some Millionaires. I've never done Millionaire before. I got almost all these seeds come from Baker's Creek, and almost all these seeds was started in my bedroom window. So there's just a couple that we've bought. And you notice that our tomatoes are spaced a really good distance apart. We haven't done this in the past, so this year we decided to try something different. They're about 6 foot apart each way. That way it allows some better airflow, and I've also been coming in here and pruning just a little bit to allow better airflow too, because we have a lot of humidity here in Arkansas. You'll notice right here, we've got some tomatoes already coming on. They're pretty small. We've got some on that one as well. Our first sets of tomatoes. Now down here we've got some Cherokee purples. That's also a new variety for us this year. Normally before we would just grow the big boys, better boys, the basic tomatoes. So this year we've definitely expanded our tomato choices a whole lot. Notice we haven't got all our tomatoes caged yet. We actually ran out of cages because we planted way more tomatoes than we normally do. This is just concrete wire that was left over from job sites that Levi has made into cages for us. So just reusing some of our material. These 3 right here, this is a Dr. Witchy, a chocolate stripe, and the little one down there is a Brandywine. These are the 3 that I got from the shindig this year from Jess over at Roots and Refuge. One that's not doing too well is my Brandywine, and it actually looks great. It's green. It's really healthy looking. It's just kind of stunted and gross, so I'm hoping it catches up pretty quickly. On down here we've just got some more Cherokee purples and some more Bonnie's Best and a couple of Amish paste at the end. These tomatoes over here actually planted a whole lot closer together. Levi had dug all these holes for peppers, and I chose to put a lot of my peppers in the raised beds this year, so I just filled them up with the tomatoes. But this is probably about the space that we would have put them last year. As you can see, this year we actually had to take this ground cover and slice it to get it over the tomatoes. So I put a little newspaper in here to fill up the gap, just to hopefully not get any weeds at all. Next year we will lay, it's 15 foot wide, 300 foot long is what the rows come in. So next year we'll be able to just drill a hole and have our tomatoes in it. But this year that was the option we had since we got a late start on the ground cover, or we found a new ground cover later. Over here we've got squash. Of course, as y'all all know, the squash will last about a month and then it will be done. So I plan on just to keep planting more squash seeds as they die out. Here I had some lemon squash from Baker's Creek, and they didn't do too well. I don't even know that they actually come up. I don't remember them coming up at all. So I plan on today or tomorrow planting some more lemon squash in this gap right here. We've got our first squash coming on. So we're all excited about some fresh fried squash. As you can see, our first little squash, and that won't be a day or two, and that will be ready to harvest because they grow so quickly. There's another one that's probably just started this morning. If you want to show this, Levi, how little this one is. There's 2 or 3 on here. And I actually take some crushed eggshells from the kitchen, and I just kind of crush them and put them around here for extra calcium and nutrients in the soil. I've done that the past couple of years, and it seems to really help. Also, a new addition to the garden, an arch trellis. These are Chinese noodle beans, so we're excited about these. They had really good reviews. They come from Baker's Creek. Everybody says they're great pan fried. So just trying to find some different things that my kids will eat. They're not big green bean fans, so if we can find one thing that they like, it'll be worth it. As you can see, these are all wrapping around, taken onto the trellis. We just had this trellis up for probably about 7 days now, a week. And this is another concrete panel that we've used from the job sites. This is actually 8 foot long and it's 20 foot arched. The length of it is 20 foot. So kind of excited to see this fill out and the beans all hang down. It won't be long because they're going crazy. Down here we've got our Kentucky Wonder pole beans. We usually do bush style green beans, so this is the first year that I've done any pole beans. I've got tons of green beans canned up, so this is just for fresh picking to eat. But you can see all the holes in them that the worms, the bugs, slugs are just eating them up. So this is definitely one of the things that I'm going to spray with the neem oil tonight, and hopefully it helps a whole lot. Absolutely crazy past the concrete panel, and we just put this concrete panel in a week ago and they were just down here. So in a week's time they have had something to grab onto and just took off. Here we've got about 50 foot of okra, which is plenty of okra because all y'all know that the plants just produce okra like crazy. This is the spineless okra that we did get from our local feed store. So this area behind me is about 15 foot wide, about 70 foot long. It's in between the tomatoes and the okra. We've got the squash in front of us here. So this is where we're going to plant our watermelons and cantaloupe, probably straight down here so they can vine out. Either way, that gives them plenty of room. And like I said, with this new ground cover, I'm hoping that it makes a world of difference. So we're going to get those put in the ground today is the goal. So hopefully in the next week or so, we'll have some little sprouts we can show you on those. Standing in the middle of the corn, we've got 3 full rows of corn. These rows are about 150 foot long, and we've got about half of a row over here. The first 3 rows, we bought the seeds from our local feed store. We've got G90, peaches and cream, candy. Over here, these come from Baker's Creek. The first bit is called True Gold. It's supposed to be a sweet corn. And the last few down here that are really tall are the Glass Gem. If you haven't seen those yet, they're the ones that have got pink and blue and yellow kernels. They say that they're edible, but they're more just for decoration and look pretty. So that's my look pretty corn. You can see how tall our corn's getting. It'll be about 5 weeks, usually around the 4th of July before it's ready to harvest. Once it is, we're gonna put some ground cover down, and this will be our area for pumpkins. Okay, as you can see, I'm standing in the middle of our sunflower circle. If you haven't watched that video yet, I'll link it above on our sunflower circle experiment. We haven't gotten here and mowed. This needs weed eated. This is supposed to be the door entrance. And then over here, the other day, I came out and planted to fill in some gaps on some sunflowers. It rained really hard after we planted them and they got washed away. But overall, I think these will fill up very well. And it's just supposed to come up, and this is gonna be like a little teepee area. So there's our update on the sunflower circle. And here is a raised bed that's built out of railroad cross ties. This is actually the only raised bed that we had last year. I had my strawberries in it. They just kind of got out of control and wasn't doing very well, so I bought the towers for the strawberries. I'll show y'all those in a little bit. I absolutely love them, and I think I'm probably going to add 2 more next year. So down here on the end, we've just got some zinnias and some marigolds. Here, I had one little okra plant I'd started in the house, so I stuck it right here. Here's a loofah gourd that I got from Ann and Andy's homestead. It's doing really well. It's gonna have to be transplanted somewhere else because it's gonna need to be on a trellis. And of course, as you can see, the cucumbers have taken over this trellis, but I just wanted to throw it in the ground to get it started. Here we've got some cayenne peppers and some poblano peppers as well. The bees that we added to the farm are absolutely loving the blooms on these cucumbers. I mean, they're just everywhere right here. We've got a couple of cucumbers already coming on. You can see a little baby one. There's a big one right here. Look at do you see the bee? There's a large cucumber. I mean, the bees are just buzzing like crazy on these cucumbers. The only trouble I'm having is keeping them off of my peppers over here. Kind of just have to keep shoving the cucumbers back because they are going absolutely crazy and they'll just wrap themselves around anything they can get a hold of. We got some marigolds down here on the end just to deter the bugs. And these are some sweet potato slips that we purchased from a lady at Baker's Creek when we went. We've never done sweet potatoes before, but they're doing really well. As you can tell, they're starting to kind of vine out and spill over, which is what they're supposed to do. So everything's looking good there. Here is Levi's prized possession. He eyeballed this at Tractor Supply. I don't know if you've caught this before, that we're clearance junkies, but we are. Tractor Supply had this on clearance, and that's all Levi could talk about was this windmill. It's 10 foot high. Well, we went into Tractor Supply the next week, and they had a sale going on that was taking extra 20% off clearance. So you can say Levi was sold on this. It definitely adds a nice little touch to the garden. Cucumbers, where they're just flourishing, I'm going to let them spill over if they need to on this side, because there's nothing else growing but some zinnias, marigolds, different flowers. And there's, I mean, I'm counting 1, 2, 3, I see 4 bees right here. It's just unbelievable. This raised bed was actually our broccoli. We cut 2 heads of the broccoli off. This one we're just letting come to flower. It's bolting, so that way we can save the seeds. But we did manage to get 2 heads of broccoli out of this, 3 plants. And this is the first time we've done broccoli as well, so it's new to us. I think next year I'll probably plant a whole lot more to put in the freezer. This is some lettuce that it just bolted. It's gotten hot here, so we're letting it flower to get some seeds, just to save the seeds, because this is all heirloom varieties. And here is the lettuce that Austin loves to come out here and just snack on, along with some weeds. Over here we've got carrots. Carrots is another new thing that we have not done. In the past, we always done the basics. We done cucumber, squash, corn, tomatoes, but we really just didn't venture out to different things. So carrots is another new one for us. We're hoping that they get finished up before it gets too hot. They're getting pretty good size. So I checked them the other day. They're about this long, so I'm hoping it's not too much longer. Here is some Yukon Gold potatoes that we done in the raised bed. They're starting to die back. You could dig these up right now for some new potatoes, the little small potatoes that everybody loves. Down here I've got a bed of just some marigolds. Once again, marigolds are great bug deterrent for the garden, and they're pretty. Over here we've got some zinnias. They haven't put out a bloom yet, but you can see they're going to be really pretty. A couple of peppers. This is just some mixed variety of peppers. I've got wrote down on a paper. I tried to kind of map out the garden and write everything down, but mainly they're just bell peppers, orange, green, yellow bell peppers. And here is onions. You can see the bulbs starting to form. Here's a really good one back here of the red onion. So those will be ready fairly soon. And here's a bunch of Levi's green onions that he loves to eat on. These we bought from the store, and these 3 rows right here I started from seed. Down here we've just got a variety of peppers. I think there's a couple of jalapeno peppers and just different bell peppers mixed in here. Down here I planted some dill and some cilantro the other day. They haven't popped up at all yet, but it's only been about 3 days since I planted those. More Levi's green onions that he's slowly getting out. And some lemon balm. This is the first time I've done lemon balm, and all you have to do is this, and your fingers will smell like lemon the rest of the day, like you have been slicing lemons. It is unreal. I come down here and cut some off and put it in the boys' water the other day, and they seem to really enjoy it. Everybody's kind of amazed. They'll say, "What is this?" And I say, "Just take your finger and rub it and smell your finger," and they can't believe it. Down here I've got some oregano. Levi, if you want to come over here, you can zoom in and barely see it starting to come up. It's probably been 5 to 7 days since I've planted it. You can start to see the little sprigs. I've got to get my herbs in. Some tomatoes that was just left over in the raised bed. We've got a Rutger that I did buy at the local feed store. Cherokee purple, and we've got a German Johnson back here. German Johnson is some that Levi's uncle had gave me. Never tried those before, but they're supposed to get just absolutely huge tomatoes on them. The rest of these were just, like I said, leftovers that I had. I couldn't throw them away. I couldn't let them just go to waste. So just kind of a mixed variety. We'll see when they start to produce what they are. It's the first time that we've staked tomatoes or raised tomatoes in raised beds as well. We've always done it in the ground. I've just been taking some twine and tying these up, the single stem, and then I'm starting to let them go off here. Just trying to keep them pruned back so they get plenty of airflow. I'll probably let them get to the top of these stakes and then I'll keep them pruned back from there. I think it's gonna work okay. It's just an experiment, so we'll see. We'll see how many tomatoes, or if it produces any tomatoes. The stakes, keeping them pruned back quite a bit versus the cages and not really pruning them back a whole lot, maybe just a little. This is our garden tour. I hope to put out another one next week. Every week from now on, I'll try to give a garden tour just to give an update. I hope that you have enjoyed. If you have any tips for us or comments, leave them below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're not part of our YouTube family, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that way you get notified whenever we put out new videos or we go live. Y'all have a great day and God bless.